Wow, that over there is a very nice Ford. Have you seen it?
Of course. I have been looking at it since we got here. My worry is how people manage such vehicles and where they buy genuine parts from.
I'm sure there's nowhere else apart from Schumer Auto Parts. They are the only supplier of genuine Ford and Mazda parts, which comes straight from the manufacturer. They have everything in stock for both latest and ordinary Mazda and Ford. They also stock service parts such as diesel filters, aircon filters, diesel pumps, steering pumps, turbochargers, engine overhaul gaskets, suspension parts, and body parts. If they don't have parts you're looking for, they can order within 5 to 10 working days. To top it up, Schumer Auto Parts also supply Maxxis tires and CST tires.
Really? But where are they found?
They are found on Chandram Sonda Road, Cruiser Auto Workshop in Lusaka. Call on 0979 192057 and 0960747235. Email schumerautoparts@gmail.com. Schumer Auto Parts for all your genuine vehicle parts.
The Happy World of 5FM Radio, your adult contemporary radio station in Zambia, connecting you to the newsmakers and events that make news in the global village.
Good evening. This is the 5FM main news. The headlines. Police recover a firearm from a male juvenile. Given Lubinda says President Hichilema's call for unity with Edgar Lungu was forced by the church. Children's Hospital hit as Russia strikes kill dozens in Ukraine. This news bulletin is also streaming live on the 5FM Facebook page and YouTube channel, 5FM Radio Zambia. With the details, I'm Herbert Mutabi. Police have recovered a firearm identified as Zastava Sebia pistol from a male juvenile pupil aged 18 of Garden Park area in Lusaka. Confirming the development, Police Public Relations Officer Ray Hamonga says brief facts of the case are that while officers were conducting patrols in the area, they received a tip-off from members of the public indicating that the suspect was illegally in possession of a pistol. Mr. Hamonga says acting on this information, the patrol team apprehended the suspect and recovered the firearm. He says that the source of the firearm is currently unknown and the case remains under investigation, and a docket of the case for unlawful possession of a firearm has been opened, and further updates will follow as the investigation progresses.
The 7th of July 2024, around 00:30 hours in Garden Park area of Lusaka. Brief facts of the case are that while officers were conducting patrols in the area, when they received a tip-off from members of the public indicating that the suspect was illegally in possession of a pistol. Acting on this information, the patrol team apprehended the suspect and recovered the firearm. The source of the firearm is currently unknown and the case remains under investigation. A docket of case of unlawful possession of a firearm has been opened, and further updates will follow as the investigation progresses.
Meanwhile, a 47-year-old man identified as Kennedy Katongo has been arrested after being in possession of $2,100 notes suspected to be counterfeit. Public Relations Officer Ray Hamonga says on July 4th, 2024, around 1340 hours, officers received a report from Mr. Benson Piri of Ngombe compound who reported that Mr. Blessings Mbewe, residing in 13 Maus Katuba area, requested 4,000 kwacha from him, claiming he could multiply the amount. He explains that the two agreed to meet at Charleston Big Tank, and acting on this information, the police laid an ambush and successfully apprehended Blessings Mbewe. Mr. Hamonga says during interrogation, Mr. Mbewe implicated another individual named as Kenneth Katongo. He says following this lead, the police apprehended Mr. Katongo, who was found in possession of the suspected counterfeit notes. Mr. Hamonga says both suspects are currently in custody pending further investigation. PF faction has alleged that President Hakainde Hichilema did not voluntarily make the statement of committing himself to reach out to all politicians, including his predecessor, Edgar Lungu, in a quest to uphold national unity. Speaking during a press briefing, PF acting Vice President Given Lubinda says the statement only came after the church suggested to him on the need to reach out to Mr. Lungu. Mr. Lubinda says many Zambians have been frustrated by President Hichilema's inability to meet his predecessor, adding that the church noticed an act of urgency for the head of state to meet the former president. He states that it did not have to take the clergy to call on President Hichilema to meet Mr. Lungu, stating that it should just take decency. He has also alleged that President Hakainde Hichilema has demonstrated that he lacks a keen interest of resolving challenges the country is facing. Mr. Lubinda says President Hichilema should consult Mr. Lungu on how he managed to have better economic activities.
In addressing the 125 years celebration, announced that he would be reaching out to meet Zambia's 6th Republican President, Dr. Edgar Chagwa Lungu. This obviously was in response to him being implored to do so by the church. It did not come as a voluntary statement. No, it had to come only after the church suggested to him that there is value in him meeting his predecessor. In addressing the 125 years celebration, announced that he would be reaching out to meet Zambia's 6th Republican President, Dr. Edgar Chagwa Lungu.
The Drug Enforcement Commission, DC, has apprehended multiple members of, I'll read that again. The Drug Enforcement Commission, DC, has apprehended multiple numbers of people for being in possession of drugs after a complex operation was conducted across the country. DC Public Relations Officer Alan Tamba says a 44-year-old man identified as Remy Mutambo in Mafinga District was found in possession of dry loose cannabis concealed in a polythene sack and 51 packed rolls, which were ingeniously concealed in dry banana leaves. Mr. Tamba says that the total weight of the confiscated contraband amounted to a staggering 120 kilograms. He says that this significant seizure underscores the length to which traffickers will go to transport illicit drugs and highlights the vigilance and effectiveness of the DC officers in countering such activities. Mr. Tamba says in another targeted operation within Muchinga province, the DC has arrested Kennedy Sinkala, male aged 35, a resident of Tusukane village in Isoka district. He says Mr. Sinkala was apprehended for trafficking 6.4 kilograms of dry loose cannabis. Meanwhile, the DC's concerted efforts in the Copperbelt province led to the arrest of 15 individuals responsible for the distribution of drugs in the streets, and among them, school-going children. Government has launched the teaching class of Kiswahili language at the University of Zambia in conjunction with the University of Dar es Salaam of Tanzania. Speaking during the launch, Minister of Education Permanent Secretary Joel Kamoko says this reflects the depth of cooperation between Zambia and Tanzania. Mr. Kamoko says that the two countries have an agreement to cooperate in various areas, including education and culture. He says the launch marks a significant development on the Zambian linguistic landscape as Kiswahili joins an exclusive list of international languages that are taught at the University of Zambia. Mr. Kamoko states that the launch of Kiswahili is beneficial even for ordinary Zambian citizens because it offers them the opportunity to learn an African language which has outgrown its origins in East Africa. He notes that it is only logical that Kiswahili is taught in Zambia because Tanzania is our immediate northern neighbor and people of the two countries intermingle and trade with each other on a daily basis.
If you can learn Chinese, why not Kiswahili? If you can learn Japanese, why not? If you can learn and pick the most recent of languages, why not African language? The program will be jointly designed by the departments and the Institute for Kiswahili Studies of the University of Dar es Salaam. So we urge you, the two, because you played a key role, evidence is now here. The collaboration is now real. The partnership is visible, let alone the signing of the ceremony, and within a year, you've been able to operationalize the Kiswahili program. Well done.
And speaking at the same event, Tanzania High Commissioner to Zambia, Matthew Mukingure, says his government will support 6 learners to study in the Kiswahili short course. In other news trending this evening, the Livingstone Magistrate Court has convicted a 33-year-old Zimbabwean identified as George Harasha for trafficking a 20-year-old Zambian of Livingstone for sexual exploitation, contrary to Section 3.2 of the Anti-Human Trafficking Amendment Act 2022. Technology and Science Minister Felix Mutati says that the massive digitization going on in the Ministry of Health is aimed at promoting efficiency in health delivery and stopping the pilferage of drugs. Up next, business news.
5FM Radio Business News. We mean business. Keep you current in commerce, trade, and industry, local and global. It's our business to keep you informed about business.
The Zambia Revenue Authority, ZRA, has granted a grace period for the enforcement of penalties relating to non-compliance with the mandatory use of Smart Invoice from 1st July to 30th September 2024. Speaking during a press briefing on the update of the Smart Invoice, Authority Commissioner General Dingani Banda disclosed that 12,415 taxpayers are on board of the Smart Invoice as of 4th July 2024. Mr. Banda says the implementation of the Smart Invoice system marks a significant milestone in efforts to enhance revenue mobilization and revenue leakages, as this innovative system offers a win-win solution for both taxpayers and government. He adds that the value-added tax population is at 21,179 with 13,076 inactive taxpayers and 8,013 active ones. On March 19th of this year, the Minister of Finance and National Planning, Stumbeko Msokotwani, officially rolled out Smart Invoice as the country's electronic invoicing system.
I would like to inform you, our taxpayers, and the General mentioned that a total of 12,415 taxpayers were onboarded on Smart Invoice as at 4th July. So that's 12,415 taxpayers who are brought on board. I think you can clap for yourselves who have come on board. This is well done to Americans. And these taxpayers, during this period, submitted invoices which were 195,438.
Ends the business news.
5FM Radio Business News. We mean business. Keep you current in commerce, trade, and industry, local and global. It's our business to keep you informed about business.
In foreign news, a children's hospital has been seriously damaged in the Ukrainian capital, Kiev, by Russian strikes, as 33 people were killed across the country in an early morning barrage. At least 19 people were killed in Kiev by the rare daytime attack, including 2 who died at the Omadyat Children's Hospital, Ukraine's biggest pediatrics facility, which sustained major damage during the blast. The head of the military administration in the central Ukrainian city of Kryvyi Rih said at least 10 people had been killed there, with 3 more killed in the eastern town of Provosky and 1 in Dnipro. Here's a roundup from the BBC for other world news stories.
Russia has carried out a massive and deadly bombardment of Ukrainian cities a day before a major NATO summit begins in Washington. Ukrainian officials say at least 29 people have been killed. In the capital, Kiev, the main children's hospital has been hit. President Biden has promised to remain in the race for the next US election. In a letter to Democrats in Congress, Mr. Biden said he was firmly committed to beating Donald Trump, despite what he described as speculation in the press. He called on Democrats to unite around his re-election bid. A Palestinian official has said that indirect ceasefire negotiations between Hamas and Israel are to resume in the Qatari capital Doha. The official told the BBC that a preliminary meeting would take place in Cairo on Monday between the heads of the Egyptian, Israeli and US intelligence. The 3 spy chiefs will then travel to Doha. In France, politicians on the left and centre are working out their next steps after a surprise election result handed them the bulk of seats in a hung parliament.
In sports news, a German referee once criticised over his match-fixing past by Jude Bellingham, who officiated England's European Championship semi-final against the Netherlands on Wednesday. Felix Zwaye, 43, will lead an all-German refereeing team in 2021 when Bellingham played for Borussia Dortmund. The England midfielder was fined 40,000 euros for referencing the official's previous ban for match fixing. Zwaye was given a 6-month ban in 2005 after he was investigated for taking a £250 bribe from official Robert Heuser. We now have the evening weather report. Stay tuned.
Class Econ Roofing Africa. Class Econ Roofing, plot 17100 off Katanga Road, 150 meters from Mumbwa Road, Chinika Industrial Area, Lusaka. Class Econ Roofing. Class plus economy. Class Econ. Class Econ Roofing Africa. Class Econ.
Most parts of the country have clear skies, windy at times, and cool. Ends the weather report.
Class Econ. Class Econ Roofing Africa. Class Econ Roofing, plot 17100 off Katanga Road, 150 meters from Mumbwa Road, Chinika Industrial Area, Lusaka. Class Econ Roofing. Class plus economy. Class Class Econ Roofing Africa. Class Econ.
That item brings us to the end of the news, but before we go, a recap of the top stories. Police recover a firearm from a male juvenile. Given Novinda says President Hichilema's call for unity with Edgar Lungu was forced by the church. Children's Hospital hit as Russian strikes killed dozens in Ukraine. For more news, follow us on Facebook, 5FM Radio Zambia. On behalf of the entire news crew and the technical department, thank you for listening to the Happy World of 5FM. Stay safe and stay tuned to 5FM Radio. I'm Herbert Mutavi.